Welcome everyone to my Atheist Christmas sermon. And this one I'm going to put on my old history teacher hat and tell you about the Christmas Truce of 1914. It's one of the most poignant and humanizing moments of World War I, offering a brief glimpse of peace amid the horrors of the battlefield. So by December 1914, World War I was in its early stages, but the toll on the soldiers was already devastating. The Western Front had devolved into trench warfare, with opposing forces entrenched across a desolate no man's land. The conditions were brutal: freezing weather, rampant disease, and an ever-present threat of enemy fire. Despite this, December brought signs of hope. Christmas was approaching, and soldiers on both sides longed for home and respite from the violence. Though High Command issued no orders of cease fighting, the soldiers themselves initiated this extraordinary event. On Christmas Eve, German troops began decorating their trenches with candles and makeshift Christmas trees. They sang carols, including Silent Night, which carried across the cold night air to the Allied trenches. British soldiers responded by singing their own carols, creating an unexpected exchange of music between the enemies. Among the journals and letters written from the soldiers who witnessed the truce, one account stands out to me. Private Frederick Heath, a British soldier, wrote vividly about the moment the carols began. It was a beautiful moonlit night, frost on the ground, white almost everywhere, and about 7 or 8 in the evening there was a commotion in the German trenches. And then they sang Silent Night. I shall never forget it. It was one of the highlights of my life. I thought, what a beautiful thing, and I couldn't wait to see what might happen next. In some areas, soldiers shouted Christmas greetings to each other, and soon a remarkable thing happened. Soldiers cautiously climbed out of their trenches, hands raised, to meet in no man's land. Despite the language barriers, they found ways to communicate through gestures, shared songs, and laughter. Heath described venturing into no man's land, where he met a German soldier who offered him a cigar and a smile. Despite the enormity of the war raging around them, for a brief moment they were simply two men acknowledging each other's humanity. In a letter home, another soldier, Clement Barker, recounted the moment the truce began. Quote, "Just when you think that you were eating your turkey, I was talking and shaking hands with the very men I had been trying to kill a few hours before. It was astounding, but it was Christmas time, and it seemed the right thing to do." Close quote. On Christmas Day, the truce expanded. Soldiers exchanged small gifts: tobacco, chocolate, buttons, and even hats. Some swapped photographs of loved ones. They shared rations, wine, and stories of their lives back home. Private John Ferguson described the surreal atmosphere of the truce in a letter to his family. He said, "We shook hands, wished each other a Merry Christmas, and were soon conversing as if we had known each other for years. We exchanged souvenirs, and some of our chaps exchanged cigarettes for cigars. I had the pleasure of talking to some of them, and I must say they seemed extraordinarily fine fellows." Ferguson added a sobering reflection: "It seemed so absurd to be standing there, talking to the men whom the day before we had been trying to kill." In one famous incident, soldiers organized an impromptu soccer game. Using a makeshift ball, Germans and British troops played a friendly match. Though the exact details are debated, reports suggest that the Germans won 3-2, which is typical. England may win wars, but they don't win World Cups. A German officer of the 134th Saxon Regiment shared his perspective of that game. "The English bought a soccer ball from their trenches, and pretty soon a lively game ensued. How marvelously wonderful, yet how strange it was. The English officers felt the same way about it. Thus Christmas, the celebration of love, managed to bring mortal enemies together as friends for a time." The Christmas truce was not universal. It occurred primarily along the Western Front, and it was more common in areas with fewer officers or less direct orders to continue fighting. In some sections, fighting continued, and in others, the soldiers who participated in the truce received disciplinary action afterwards. Captain Edward Hulse detailed the exchange of gifts in his diary. He said, "We were having the most extraordinary Christmas Day imaginable. A sort of unarranged and quite unauthorized but perfectly understood and observed truce existed between us and our friends in the front. The thing that started last night, a beautiful moonlit night with frost on the ground." He continued, "Gifts were exchanged, and we even found a barber among the Germans who gave us haircuts in exchange for a few tins of corned beef." This event was extraordinary. It showed the shared humanity of those on opposite sides of the conflict, soldiers who, despite the propaganda and dehumanization of war, recognized each other as men longing for peace. This Christmas truce is a powerful reminder of the human capacity for connection, even in the darkest times. It demonstrates how individuals can resist the machinery of war and separation, if only briefly, to honor universal values of compassion, shared humanity, and camaraderie. For us today, the truce stands as a symbol of hope and a call to imagine a world where such moments of peace can extend beyond a single day. At Christmas, when we gather with loved ones, it reminds us that even amidst conflict and division, there is always possibility of understanding, kindness, and unity. I personally don't know what's going to happen to the future of Christianity. I have some educated guesses, but I do hope that this tradition continues, even as an atheist. I hope that if humanity is on the earth 5,000 years from now, and all hope of Jesus returning has been lost, and the language of the Bible is so archaic now that only scholars who take language classes can learn how to read it, I still hope that whatever battles are ensuing against whatever robots in that day, that they still stop on Christmas Day to take part of this long tradition of people in various languages, in various traditions, in the darkest part of the year, to stop their wars and their work, to gather together and to sing songs of old that look for hope, light candles, tell stories, and enjoy family traditions and eat good food with friends and family. There are many aspects of Christianity that deserve to stay in the first century where it belongs. There are many aspects of religion that should not continue into the modern world. But I do hope in the West that as long as there are humans on the earth, that we stop for Christmas. Even though each century our shared beliefs about what hope looks like changes, I hope the tradition continues, that for as long as there is war on this earth, I hope there is Christmas too. Merry Christmas from me, Britt Hartley.